He threw a leg across that iron horse and pulled the throttle down. A million things rushing through his mind like that rumbling sound. Living life in his own eyes, direction isn't clear. So searching all these years.
Welcome to Answers from Mars Hill. This is Pastor Ski of the Rushing Wind Biker Church out in Holbrook, New York. And I want to welcome you to today's show. We're going into the holidays. We've just come off Thanksgiving. And now we have December 1st. And so we're moving into the holiday season pretty quick and hopefully putting 2020 behind us. I think most of us are pretty happy that this year is coming to an end. A year like we've probably never seen. You know, churches are still being attacked by governors and mayors, and we don't know what's going to settle in by the time Christmas rolls along. You know, this virus is raising its head up again and really going in all kinds of directions, and people are panicking. And it's one of the reasons why, you know, I think this kind of venue is important, because we need to be calm and know that everything's going to be okay with our humanity, that there is a God that is sovereign over everything. And, you know, as we come into this time of year, and I want to mention something I mentioned last week. This time of year tends to put a lot of people into a very dark place. And, you know, we need to reach out, give hope, share some kind words. You know, we all know people who the holiday season are not seasons that they celebrate well, in a large way, because of circumstances they're in, because of loss. You know, many have lost people this year because of this virus, and this will be the first Christmas season and Thanksgiving, which were passed with an empty chair at the Thanksgiving table. And so, you know, just as a reminder to all our viewers, and, you know, share it to everybody you know, that we need to reach out and love on people, give people hope, wrap our arms around them, give them you know, a word of encouragement. God bless you. Jesus loves you. If you're, you know, someone of faith like us. And so it's a very important time of year. And the next couple shows up to the end of the year are going to be touched in some way on Christmas and then actually the new year, moving into a new season in the new year. And you know, we're excited at our church because we have our regular celebrations that we're going to have, our gatherings. You know, we have a candlelight service, kind of a traditional Christian thing to do. And we're going to be doing that really the night before Christmas Eve. Normally we do it Christmas Eve, but we have a service on Wednesday, so we're just going to convert that to our candlelight service. And we also have Bible studies on Friday, so this is right in the middle where we're going to adjust things a little bit. And New Year's Eve. You know, every year, New Year is a new opportunity for a new start. You know, it's like every time we wake up, it's almost a new resurrection into a new life every day. And so we celebrate New Year's Eve. We don't go out to parties. We don't go out to bars. We don't gather and indulge. We come to church, and we have a celebration, fellowship, a word to go into the next year. And then right at midnight, we celebrate with communion. That's what we've always done this will be the 12th year we've had our church. And that's where we want to be. We want to be in a place where we can pray, honor God, and thank Him and ask His blessing coming into the new year. So that's what's going on in the Biker Church. You know, last week we talked about Thanksgiving, the mindset more than the holiday, and how we should be thankful despite all the circumstances that we're going through, and to look into our life and looking into our faith of the strength that we have through God to endure. You know, sometimes abundant life in the scriptures are just great things happening and you're moving on all cylinders, and sometimes abundant life is enduring when everybody else is struggling. And this has been a year of endurance. And so we're thankful, and we spoke about it in our church last night, that we're thankful that we're still standing. We're still here. We're growing. You know, we're coming through this, yes, with bruises, and we've been battered, and, you know, we've had things attack many people in our church, but we're standing together, and we're thriving. And so we should be thankful for that. If you have a chance, go back to last week's show, and I think it may encourage you as far as being thankful, even when you wake up and it doesn't seem like there's anything to be thankful about. Today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to transition into Christmas. Again, we're in a very dark time, a very challenging time. And the sad thing from a Christian perspective is what has happened to Christmas over the decades. And the real meaning of Christmas and the real reason why there is a Christmas has been kind of buried under the rug, so to speak, by society. You know, there's people of all kinds of beliefs and spiritualities that celebrate Christmas. As a Christian, it doesn't make any sense to me. You know, you don't believe in anything that the day was actually about. And so, you know, I mean, knock yourself out. You know, it's another day to party and gather and eat a lot of food and watch football games, and that's I get that. But this year, I think we're going to be suffering. Many people are going to be suffering because this year we need what Christmas was supposed to be. You know, all the presents in the world, all the eating and parties and drinking and indulging, and even, you know, getting together with friends. The day after Christmas, it's over. It's done. You know, and it was just another celebration. And unfortunately, the power has been stripped from the awareness of what Christmas was really meant to celebrate. And, you know, I'm very critical on some of these things that have come up as far as people attacking Christmas trees and all these other things and saying it's pagan stuff. And, you know, I just wish they'd get over themselves. You know, we know what Christmas is about, and we have our traditions. And, you know, if you want to pick on our faith, pick on our faith. You know, it gets a little petty sometimes when people say, you know, this came from, you know, some medieval Druid ceremony and all this other stuff. And, you know, just, you know, if it makes you happy, that's fine. We know what Christmas is all about. And that's why this Christmas is going to be special to us that are in the faith. And I want to talk about what Christmas can be to the millions out there that, you know, it's just another season to shop, give gifts, have parties, celebrate something, an abstract, and try to help people have an awareness that in this dark time, that's just not going to help anything, but it's just another party night. It's just another gathering. And if you don't have the power of what Christmas was meant to be, it's not going to help, and we need help. Humanity needs help. You know, when God sent his son, that baby in the manger, it was to help. It wasn't to have a party. And so when we come back from our first break, I actually want to read one or two things that we all have heard, and maybe some of you haven't been aware of some people who were very strong Christians and gave some pretty powerful messages back in our youth. And so we'll be back after a few words from our sponsors, and we're going to talk about Christmas, how we need the truth of what it is.
Hey everybody, this is Motorcycle Mike, the personal injury lawyer. I've been riding motorcycles my entire adult life. During the course of my 30-year career as a lawyer, I've also represented countless injured motorcyclists. If you are one of them, I can be of assistance to you. Go to my website, please, MotorcycleMikeESQ.com. I'll always be there for you. I'm on your side when you ride.
Welcome back to Answers from Mars Hill, and today we're talking about Christmas, what it's become, what it was always meant to be, and how we need the power that was really brought and made available to us to overcome the hopelessness of this world in the gift that God sent us. And for those who aren't people of faith, just bear with me because I want to share a few thoughts that I think might encourage you. And I'm going to be 65 in a couple of months. And when I was a child, I grew up in I guess an area at a time that was more innocent than it was now, and there were just nice, redeeming things that were part of our culture, even from a non-Christian perspective. How things were portrayed, how things were said, how people cared about each other. And I want to share two things that probably all of you are familiar with. Maybe from your youth, and if you're a youth now, you may have seen some of these things. But some of the best writers, some of the best animators, television producers were men of faith. And much of the stuff that was out there back in, I guess, more innocent times were laced with Christian thought and biblical truth. And so I want to read something first, and this is something, if you're my generation, you'll remember the original more than what's been portrayed recently, because they've corrupted the story that Dr. Seuss wrote about the Grinch that stole Christmas. And you see in the story there's this character which we all know called the Grinch, which is really the digression and the falling from the way creation was supposed to be to a very self-serving, angry person. And then you have Whoville, which, I mean, sometimes it's so sweet things get sappy. But the whole idea was the dichotomy of the way things should be and what things have become. And near the end of the movie, or the end of the show, and don't go by the Jim Carrey thing, because they corrupted the whole story just to make it exciting with special effects and drama and stuff. But if you go back to that original and read the book, at the end, when the Grinch is sitting on that mountain with the toys and the sled and everything, and then he's listening to hear the woes and the complaints from everyone because all their gifts are gone. And this is what Dr. Seuss says. And he paused, and the Grinch put his hand to his ear. And he did hear a sound rising over the snow. It started in low and then started to grow. But the sound wasn't sad. Why, this sound sounded merry. It couldn't be so, but it was merry, very. He stared down at Whoville. The Grinch popped his eyes, and he shook. What he saw was a shocking surprise. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, was singing without any presents at all. He hadn't stopped Christmas from coming. It came. Somehow or other, it came just the same. And the Grinch, with his Grinch feet ice cold in the snow, stood puzzling and puzzling. How could it be so? It came without ribbons. It came without tags. It came without packages, boxes, or bags. And he puzzled 3 hours till his puzzler was sore. Then the Grinch thought of something he hadn't before. Maybe Christmas, he thought, doesn't come from a store. Maybe Christmas perhaps means a little bit more. And what happened that day then, well, in Whoville they say that the Grinch's small heart grew 3 sizes that day. And the minute his heart didn't feel quite so tight, he whizzed with his load through the bright morning light. And he brought back the toys and the food for the feast. And he himself, the Grinch, carved the roast beast. And that's kind of the message I want to give today. We have to get back to what Christmas was all about. We made it about so many different things. And it's interesting when we see when the Grinch realized what Christmas was. He was filled with love. His heart grew. It's what Jesus came to bring humanity. And it's interesting that the Grinch, all of a sudden, his selfishness and his anger turned into a time of service. And he served, and he fed, and he gave. And it's what Jesus came to give us, is a different mentality in our life, a different way of looking at things. And the faith we have, and the one that we have faith in, melts a heart and makes it where the things aren't that important, and we need to hang together and love each other. And then before we continue the conversation, I'm going to bring Bobby in a minute. Another one of our childhood memories, Charlie Brown's Christmas. Charles Schulz, a very strong Christian man. And for years, there was something that was left unnoticed in Charlie Brown's Christmas. And when Linus is on the stage and Charlie Brown is screaming, "Can anyone tell us what Christmas is all about?" And we could all see that spotlight on Linus on the stage. And he goes through the account in Luke, the Gospel of Luke. And the moment that he's reading what it says in Luke, that he says that the angel said, "Fear not." And right before he said, "I bring you good tidings of great joy," something extraordinary happened on that stage. Linus dropped his blanket. Linus went through his life with a security blanket. And when the angel came pronouncing that Jesus was here, the help from humanity was here, Linus didn't need his security blanket anymore. And I don't know how many people know that that was a purposeful thing that Charles Schulz put in that thing, that once it was pronounced that I bring you good tidings of great joy. Linus didn't need a security blanket because he didn't need to put his faith in anything that was of this world anymore. And so things that have been kind of around us, and understand the power of these little things when you understand what the statements were and what the writer and the producer and the animator was trying to portray, was what Christmas is all about. It's about God giving us the ultimate gift so that we would have peace on earth, goodwill towards all men. And we need to capture that again in this day that is 2020, when darkness has gripped us, where the superficial Christmas is just not going to cut it. It's not going to do anything. People will be drinking more at those parties. They'll be getting more drunk. They'll be waking up with worse hangovers. They'll be trying to buy love by bigger gifts and paying more money, and then they'll wake up the next day or two, and life is life. So I want to bring Bobby in. I think he wants to really have a pretty good conversation about this particular aspect that I want to concentrate on, at least for this week. So hi, Bobby. How you doing?
Good. How are you doing?
Doing good. How was your Thanksgiving?
It was nice. It was quiet, small, but very nice.
Yeah.
Good food and good company.
Same here.
That's what it's all about.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we have a viewer question, and it goes like this. Dear Pastor Ski, my wife and I have been married for 2 years now. It seems that each Christmas we tend to celebrate Christmas a little differently. My wife seems to focus on all the materialistic aspects of Christmas and not really understanding the true meaning. We are expecting a child soon, and I really want our child to understand the true and real meaning of Christmas and not all the commercialism that's attached to it today. How can I have a respectful conversation with my wife and let her hopefully understand that we should be more aware of what we're teaching our children and possibly our future children?
Well, it doesn't say too much about where their faith is, so I don't know exactly the realm of their thinking at this point. I'm going to assume, just to assume something, is that they're probably people who believe in God, people who have some semblance of, okay, Christmas we're celebrating, and somewhere in there they know what the real reasoning is. But again, the culture has really dragged even people that have faith into this commercialism. We want to be just like everyone else, and so my suggestion is, you're bringing a new life into the world. I think even in people that have some semblance of common sense, of caring and compassion, understand that materialism has corrupted everything in this world. That that love isn't shown by what you give and how much you give, as far as material possessions. And what I would suggest is, work through that as a couple with each other. Scale down what you do. My family this year, we've given gifts. We've always given gifts, and our kids and that. And with the tightness and the pandemic and everything going on, we sent. I sent an email to my kids saying, these are the parameters. We're scaling everything down because I'm not going to go into debt. I'm not putting things on credit cards. And all my kids, all of them said, don't get the adult stuff. We don't need that stuff. And minimize what we do with the kids. And when things are tight like this, we have the opportunity to bring these important moments and these important thoughts of faith, particular faith, when we can't do things. When I brought my family to California, we were broke, dead broke. I had a job that, I wasn't making a lot of money, and we kind of rented our furniture, and, my kids slept on cots, and it was really an interesting story. But in those times during the year, and especially during Christmas, we just appreciated being together as a family. And you voice things differently. You kind of love differently when love is all you have, and your family is all you have. And you got to get out of the mentality that I need to show someone how much I love them by how big a gift and how much I spend on them, because we corrupt each other. Even between a husband and a wife. And I've been caught up in that because I've always gone out of my way to make sure I buy more for my wife than she buys for me. And so, I found myself in this place. And then I've kind of, the last year or two, I've gotten out of that mentality. And I'll tell you, it's hard. It's like white knuckling it, because I don't want my wife to buy me more stuff than I buy her. And I fight this just like everybody else does. And then I've given her opportunity in the last couple of years, and it has blessed her to be able to do more than I do for her. And I think if we can all get into that mentality, it'll teach our children a new way of looking at things. That it's, the Bible says it's more blessed to give than to receive. And we need to teach that to our children, because what happens is, if we don't teach that to their children, it's going to corrupt the next generation. And I think we'll continue this in the next segment. We're kind of winding down in this segment. So when we come back, I want to hit that right away, and that's a very important conversation. So we'll be back in a few minutes on Answers from Mars Hill. This is Pastor Ski, and I want to tell you about two books that I've written, The Fear of Life and No Sting. The Fear of Life is my journey of faith and how I lived in fear for close to 35 years and how God took me out of it. No Sting is about my battle with cancer and my victory through God over it. And if you're interested in any of these books, go to barnesandnoble.com, amazon.com, and also zulonpress.com. Go to the bookstore. And again, I want to thank you for your support. Welcome back to Answers from Mars Hill. And we're going to continue this conversation on Christmas. And the question that a viewer wrote in about teaching our children. And it's very important, and we're even seeing now a generation of entitlement. And entitlement really has been caused by parents, society, government that have just given. And children, young people, young adults are more than happy to receive. And so all you're doing is you're teaching the next generation to want and to have, and that's where happiness is. And this couple, this guy that wrote in, that's an important conversation when you're going to have children. We have with our children at times during Thanksgiving and during Christmas, we've served the homeless, taken of our time on Thanksgiving, and brought toys to missions and outreaches, rather than buy more toys for our children. And it doesn't just create a healthy child that grows up to a healthy adult. When we can understand the biblical principle of it's better to give than to receive, it's the beginning of healing of humanity. And that we can start to heal by serving each other instead of seeing what we can get. And unfortunately, with the human heart, it's almost impossible to correct the curve. I got that, I guess, from what's going on with let's flatten the curve. But, we've created a culture that's kind of hard to reverse it at this point. And that's why Christmas, the message, the reality of this child that was born in a manger, this gift that was given by a creator that loves us, is so important to strip all the wrapping paper off of Christmas, to strip all the, as to quote Dr. Seuss, the packages, boxes, and bags, and bows, and just rip it apart and get to the core of the nativity scene and understand what that really means. Because without having some basis of having a faith of things that could be better, believing there's a God that can step in and help make things better, and also a Savior who can step into our life individually and make us better and not be the problem. That's what Christmas is. That's what Christmas is always meant to be. And we need to strip everything around this Christmas and bring it back to the core of Christ. It's in the Word. You can put Xmas all you want. That's a totally meaningless concept. Doesn't mean anything. Christ is why we have December 25th. And again, that wasn't when he was born, sometime in August, most likely he was born. So as people that like to get into this stupid stuff, just get over yourself. We're celebrating an event that God did. It doesn't matter when it happened. It happened. And so we need to bring it back to what it originally was about. And we can start healing as a people. So, Bobby, you want to come back in?
Surely. And I'm in.
There you go.
There I am. Okay. Yeah, so, just like, I was driving around last night at night, and, it's great to see everybody celebrating Christmas, but, like, I see some of the things, and it drives me crazy. And what I really noticed this year that just really irks me is Mickey Mouse. All over the place. Like, I can't even tell you, like, every other, decoration setting that I saw on somebody's lawn, I see Mickey Mouse, and I'm like, what? I don't understand what Mickey Mouse has anything to do with Christmas whatsoever. I don't know any, even did Mickey Mouse ever do any Christmas special, anything? Like, I don't know, but, like, when I see things like that, I just, like, I'm old-fashioned. Like, I would love to see nativity sets, beautiful nativity sets, capturing, the moment of Christ's birth, Well,
you said something very interesting and very telling.
Go ahead.
Old-fashioned.
Old-fashioned.
The problem in our culture is truth has become old-fashioned.
Yeah.
Truth is always going to be truth. And when you put that to the back of the agenda, you lose everything. You know, and
Yeah.
it's not old school. It's the only school.
I agree.
You know, and you know, I don't want to get into, you know, we can go into tangents and how they're raising our kids in schools and the agenda that the
Yeah.
government and the higher education has. But so I have a thing with my wife every year, and I started this about 5 years ago because I kept going into the store and getting sick when I saw Christmas displays. And all I ask at this point, and this is very minimal, so I should probably raise the bar on this. All I ask for one item on sale in a store that actually represents Christmas, not all the BS. Just give me one. And my wife will tell you, I've walked out of stores. When we were going to go out and we needed something, I will refuse to buy anything from a store that in their entire Christmas display, they refuse to put anything about Jesus, anything about the Nativity. I mean, give me an angel. Give me something, you know?
Yeah. And the angels a little bit, you know, but it's not, they don't use angels in the way they're supposed to be used. You know, it's kind of like,
No, I understand.
yeah,
I understand.
they'll throw angels around, but I don't know.
No, it's
Yeah.
they've made it about what it's not supposed to be about, and they're going to be going through garbage this Christmas. They're going to be in a dark state of mind because there's nothing within Christmas in their mentality that can actually redeem them from what's going on in the world right now. And that's the sad part, because God gave us his son. And the rest of the world is celebrating something that they have no idea what it's about. They've made it into something that is fluff and material, and it just vanishes like smoke, and it's gone. And it's the sad part. And that's why, you know, this conversation, and we'll be talking about Christmas probably till Christmas. But it needs to be, you know, even people out there that aren't in the Christian faith, just read the story. Just read what this day originated as, and get rid of the Mickey Mouse stuff. You know, think about how trivial they made this when you're talking about the God of creation sending his son to come and die on a cross, and we're celebrating Mickey Mouse. Think how stupid that sounds. All right?
Yeah.
It's stupid, you know. And
is.
pardon my my insensitivity, but you're all out there without this faith, with nothing to make you feel better than a couple of bucks spent, a couple of drinks drunk, and you wake up the next morning with a hangover, and it's another day. And then you go into the new year, and what the heck changed? Nothing changed.
Yeah.
You're still hopeless. You know, who knows what the pandemic's going to be? Who knows what this election's going to be? Who knows what the world's going to be? And you got nothing. Make Christmas something that can redeem your life, that can just pour into your life something to help. So I'm getting on my soapbox right now, Bobby.
No, that's totally. I agree with you 100%. It just, you know, it just like you said. I mean, it irks you. You get you like, oh, like I don't get it. You know, like the Mickey Mouse, and I've seen it. I don't know if I just noticed it this year, but I just. It's like every other house. There's Mickey Mouse, and I'm just like, wow, I don't get it. Mickey Mouse, you know, I can understand a snowman, you know, a reindeer, you know that, but Mickey Mouse. I mean, I'd rather have Charlie Brown. At least Charlie Brown celebrated Christmas.
Yeah.
I don't remember Mickey
Yeah.
Mouse ever celebrating Christmas.
Oh,
But
there's
yet-
all kinds of crazy stuff out
Yeah,
there.
Mickey Mouse is on every
I
Christmas.
mean, there's Mario and Luigi things
Yeah,
on people's
it's-
lawns for Christmas.
Yeah, I haven't seen that, but that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. I don't know, but I was saying, you know, I'm old-fashioned. I'm, you know, I've. It's just the way I was brought up. My, you know, my parents celebrated Christmas. You know, there was always the nativity scene underneath the tree.
Yeah.
We didn't have like a big one outside. You know, we always decorated, but it wasn't. It was just more of a tasteful decoration with some lights and something. But now it's like people are filling their yards with every type of cartoon character and television show and movie characters, and I'm just like, whoa.
Yeah.
Where is Jesus? It's Jesus' birthday. And I understand, okay, December 25th probably wasn't his exact birthday.
Yeah,
You know
it
what I'm
wasn't.
saying? But like,
Yeah.
come on. I mean, just about every holiday that we celebrate as Americans is a Christian holiday. And I just don't. I
Except
don't.
Halloween.
Well, isn't that a little bit Christian too?
Well, it goes back to the Catholic All Saints Day.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's the way it's celebrated. It doesn't even have any remembrance or understanding of that. They made it
No.
a whole dark
Yeah.
spiritual thing.
But even it was loosely based in that, and a
Right.
lot of the holidays were put in place of a lot of the pagan holidays, because why have Christmas a week after this major pagan holiday? So yes, as Christians, they kind of replaced those pagan holidays, so I understand the dates may not line up, but this is history. This is the truth. This is not something that was just written and made up.
No,
you
it's
know?
an
And I don't
event that
think people
happened.
really get that. I
And
don't think they do.
as we wind down this section, the world needs the truth of Christmas. All right? Listen to Linus. I give you great tidings, good tidings of great joy. Peace is on earth, goodwill towards all men. And when he said peace on earth, it didn't mean that peace was going to pervade the earth. It means that the representation and the person who would be God that could bring peace, that peace had now invaded the dark world of anger and hate and wars and prejudice. And so now there was a source of peace that was with us that God intended all along. And so when you read that, it's not like, like all of a sudden, poof, the world was going to be at peace, because I think people think that that's what it meant. No, it meant that peace, the person who was the Prince of Peace, the person who could bring peace, and we could tap into him for peace, arrived. The hero came. I spoke to this last night in church about how we love stories with superheroes that show up at the right moment. And the Bible tells us in Romans that at just the right moment, when we were hopeless and helpless, that God sent his son. And we have to understand that. And people who aren't of faith out there, as we close this segment down, just read the story. Read the hope. If you don't fall into faith, if God's Spirit doesn't invade you, at least know the story of why this is so important and why it has the potential of changing what humanity is all about. And so we're going to continue whatever conversation next week about Christmas, but this is Answers from Mars Hill. And when we come back, I'm going to have my word for the day, which is going to be Christmas. We need the truth, because the answer is there for us. We'll be back in a minute with Answers from Mars Hill.
Hey everybody, this is Motorcycle Mike, the personal injury lawyer. In addition to representing injured motorcyclists for over 30 years now, during that same time, I've represented countless car crash victims and construction workers injured on construction sites. If you need my assistance, go to my website, motorcyclemikeesq.com. I will always be there for you.
This is Pastor Ski, and I want to tell you about two books that I've written, The Fear of Life and No Sting. The Fear of Life is my journey of faith and how I lived in fear for close to 35 years and how God took me out of it. No Sting is about my battle with cancer and my victory through God over it. And if you're interested in any of these books, go to barnesandnoble.com, amazon.com, and also zulonpress.com. Go to the bookstore. And again, I want to thank you for your support. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Answers from Mars Hill. This is the word for the week. We've been discussing Christmas. We've been talking about how we live in a very dark time. We're coming off a very hard year, and we need something as a humanity. We need hope. We need help. There are a lot of people that are suffering. There's a lot of people that may not make it through this holiday season. As I mentioned, we need to reach out to those who need help, those who have suffered loss and are in some mental anguish, that are in need and have all kinds of issues. And now we come upon a time of year where people are celebrating all around them, and many don't have a reason to celebrate. And so first and foremost, we need to reach out to those who are hurting. But what I want to talk about, what I have been talking about on this show, is the fact that Christmas was supposed to be so different than what America has made it. There is no resemblance of what the reality of Christmas is. And we look all around and we go to the store and 99% of the decorations have nothing to do with Christmas. There's some obscure celebration of something that the world has attached to this name and made it Christmas. And you can't define or redefine Christmas. You can call something Christmas, but it just is not. And now more than ever, we're going to suffer the consequences. The world, America, our culture, our society, your families and mine are going to suffer the consequences of burying what was supposed to be a time that we could celebrate hope. We could celebrate there is something that we can hope for. Something that can let us know the future just might be okay. Today might be okay. We can get the strength to get together and redeem, or at least persevere in this time. And with what Christmas has become, people are not going to have any resource in this day. It'll be eating and gift giving and football and drinking and not sitting and contemplating a God that wants so much more, a God that gave so much more. The reason we have this day was because, as John tells us, God so loved us that he sent his son. On the day we celebrate, the exact day, as I mentioned earlier, it's not really the point, though many want to denigrate the holiday by doing their mathematics and stupid things because they just don't want to believe, because if there's a God, they're accountable to someone. But look around us. Look at the state of humanity. I think we ought to be accountable to someone. Look what we're doing to ourselves. But God has sent hope. The Gospel of Luke, the account, Luke was a historian, was a physician, a man who was really obsessed with details. You know, historians and people who view and rate historians outside of our faith call Luke a historian of the first degree. That every name, every fact that he writes in the Gospel of Luke, in the book of Acts, can be verified, times, places, who the leaders were, and everything that went on. And so be encouraged that when you read the Bible, it's history. See, we are putting our faith in something that is not some spiritual abstract, but historical reality. In Luke's Gospel, the account that we read, and I mentioned it earlier from that Christmas cartoon, Charlie Brown's Christmas. a short section of the scriptures, starting in Luke chapter 2, verse 4. It says, Joseph went up from Galilee to the city of Nazareth, to Judea, the city of David, which is Bethlehem, because of the way of the house of the family of David. That, by the way, was prophesied 1,000 or so years earlier, in order to register along with Mary, who was engaged to him, and they were with child. While they were there, the days were completed for her to give birth. She gave birth to her firstborn son. She wrapped him in clothes and laid him in a manger because there was no room in the inn. We know the story. In the same region, there were shepherds staying outside in the fields, keeping watch over their flock at night. The angel of the Lord suddenly stood before them, and the glory of the Lord shone around them, and they were terribly frightened. But the angel said, "Do not be afraid, for behold, I bring good news of great joy, which will be for all the people." And as I mentioned, this is the point where Linus drops his security blanket, because we don't need to hold on to anything for security when the answer has arrived. For today in the city of David there has been born a Savior who is Christ the Lord. This will be a sign for him, and you will find a baby wrapped in clothes and lying in a manger. Suddenly there appeared with the angel a multitude of heavenly hosts praising God and saying, "Glory to God in the highest, and on earth peace among men with whom he is pleased." The King James says, "Peace on earth, goodwill towards men." I want to stop there because that is what we need. See, what we celebrate is the relief that the God that created this humanity, most of which do not honor or even believe in him, sent an answer for the brokenness, for what we've become, what we've done to ourselves, and sent us a Savior. There is no peace on earth without God. There might be absence of wars, but there is no justice. And when Jesus came, the one who would show us peace, bring what God intended for us to live like, loving and serving, compassion, giving, not selfish, not self-serving, but what the prototype of the human should be. Peace and what it looks like. John, the man who wrote a gospel, wrote 3 letters and also wrote the book of Revelation. In the beginning of his first letter, he says, I'm telling you of what I saw, what I touched with my own hands, what we felt, what we heard. That life was manifested to us, that life that was peace, that life that was love, that life that we could look at and say, we finally know what we're supposed to be like. And John was an eyewitness. And so were hundreds and maybe thousands, historically speaking. And that's what Christmas is all about. But in our selfishness of not wanting to be accountable for our own lives, be accountable for how we treat people, because we're all about us, we made it something else, that we could get gifts and we could feel good about giving gifts and we could get together and anesthetize the pain and suffering. And that's all we do at Christmas without Jesus, is anesthetize ourselves for a day, a couple days, a week maybe. And then life is there. And hope is the same as it was the day before Christmas. Unless we dig in, focus, fight off everything this world would want us to do to distract us from the hope that we do have, the hope that God sent, The hope that no other theology, no other spirituality can assemble with their fabrications and their spiritual concepts and their philosophies that are no more than philosophies that sound good, and it's no more than a Tony Robbins motivational speech to keep us in bay for a while and try to keep our minds distracted. But there is hope. And there is a Prince of Peace, Emmanuel, God with us, a babe in a manger. And when that babe was born, God already knew his fate, what his life would do, where he would go, what he would accomplish, what he would suffer for you and for me. And Christmas is a celebration of someone came to the rescue. The one with the white hat on the white steed. The one who came to save us. Because we all need a Savior. It's why we enjoy all those movies and stories where the hero comes in at the end. There's something in our soul and our spirit that loves when the man comes to save the day or the woman comes to save the day, and we get emotional because someone was right on the edge of despair. And the Bible tells us, Paul tells us that at just the right time, when we were at our last end and there was no hope and we were helpless, at just the right time, God sent us the rescuer. That's what Christmas is. And if we don't think on that, meditate on that, and those that aren't of this faith, maybe investigate real answers. This is going to just get darker, folks. Because you get your hopes up for the holidays that things can be different, and we wake up January and next year will be much of the same and possibly worse. Where are you going to put your hope? The hope of the world came in a manger in Bethlehem, just as the details were recounted thousands of years before. That's Christmas, my friend. That's the hope that will last, sustain, and persevere. So that was my word for the week. We're going to continue talking about Christmas in some realm over the next couple of weeks. So thank you for watching Answers from Mars Hill. I want to thank you for tuning in. I want to thank my sponsors, Mike Levine, Motorcycle Mike, great attorney, personal injury attorney, Kenny Max, Wolfman Biker Leather, Bobby, Strong Island Television, my family at the Biker Church, those who support us. If you'd like to contribute to the cause, the information will be at the end of the show. God bless you all. Peace, goodwill to all men. Jesus loves you. We'll see you next week. This has been Answers from Mars Hill.